What causes the omen that triggers psychic receptivity? Hello, everyone. I'm Thomas, and welcome to my channel. I do primarily educational videos, books, articles, courses, and the like. One of my favorite things to do videos on is the Tree of Life. This model here, which is really like a map of our stages of consciousness, stages of our faculties of consciousness. This you may recognize this also as Kabbalah. It's the same diagram more or less, but it's a different interpretation. It comes by way of ancient Egypt and the West Indies. And what you see here is you have 10 different circles, which are really spheres that are numbered 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you have a thing here called the abyss, and then you have a thing above the tree called the zero sphere. And so that is a total of 12 different faculties of consciousness. And briefly, they run like animal consciousness is 10. 9 is our domestic consciousness, what we're getting growing up in the home in our first years. Heightened receptivity and ability to imitate, memorize, and imitate. The A-sphere is kind of about the public realm, the real world. It's about our belief systems and our logical faculties. This is really the imaginary world, our ability to imagine, create, also our pleasure principle and our inspiration. Then here is our free will faculty, our ability to pay attention and to make decisions. Here, the fifth sphere is our sense of justice. The corresponding to that is the fourth sphere, which is our law and order. So this is our universals: universal law, universal love, and universal language, and how all of them fit together and flow together in a great symphony. And then here the psychic powers has to do with our psychic receptivity and our psychic heat, our ability to recognize omens and to act upon them. And then we have 3, omnipotence, 2, omniscience, all powerful, all knowing, or wisdom. And then 1, omnipresence, all present eternally. And then the 0 above the tree is about nothingness and the mystery. Everything that really isn't part of the universe that's presented by the tree. Now, in my model, what I've done is I've fractalized it, so to speak. Basically, the experts on the tree will tell you that you can apply the tree to anything. You can apply it to anything and break it down into its 12 different categories. Well, so that's what I've done with each one of the 12 spheres, is I've applied a miniature tree onto each one of these. So I've broken each one of the 12 faculties of consciousness down into 12 sub-faculties. So what I call fractal faculties. So 12, 12, 12, and so on, for a total of 144 fractal faculties, or what I would call stages of life, which are not chronological stages, but dramatic stages. So 144 separate little dramas. Now, if you would like me to send you a list of those 144 fractal faculties, an annotated list, just click the link in the description and I will send you out a free copy of that. Now today, out of the 144 stages, we're focusing in on stage number 95. And the question, what causes the omen that triggers psychic receptivity? So here we're in the abyss, this implied sphere here that is related to psychic powers. and we are at the first fractal of the abyss. So combination of this omnipresence, all powerful, all knowing, and all everywhere, all at once. This is really all powerful and all knowing, but this is the summation of all of it, all at once, and eternally. And this is a lot of times when you think of the first fractal of something, you're really thinking about like the um, centerpiece, the essence of that sphere. So this is kind of like the essence of the abyss. And now, just as kind of an aside, what we have here, just to give you a little bit of background, normally when you're talking about Kabbalah, Hebrew Kabbalah, and even Tree of Life, um, in some schools, um, they use the abyss as something that you have to cross to get to these higher areas, but they don't really attach this psychic thing to it. Instead, what they do is they use all of these connections between the spheres to um, to describe what they're really talking about, and they use the trumps of the tarot for these, and also the alphabet, all the Greek letters. So every one of the Greek letters corresponds to a trump on the tarot. So your junction between the first and the second sphere corresponds to Aleph, the first letter, and also to the Fool, which is the first trump on the tarot. So all of the tarot cards can be put here on each one of these there are 22 different lines that go between the spheres, and they're all numbered, and they all correspond to a single trump on the tarot. Now, in this model, we kind of all wrap all that up into the abyss, and we see it not so much as being a trump on the tarot, although there could be that connection, but we see it as being electromagnetism. So the qualities of electricity and magnetism. And generally, the qualities of the electricity are within the fractals of the sphere. So if we're talking about the abyss fractal of a sphere, then we are talking about an electric quality. If we're talking about something that's within the sphere itself, within the abyss itself, then we're talking about a magnetic factor. So the magnetic factors go here in the abyss, and the electrical factors go within the abyss fractals of each one of these different spheres. So anyway, you end up with a total of 23 different magnetic and or electric faculties that are really our psychic powers, especially in terms of when they're within here. And the 23rd one is just the link between the first and the zero. So that's just a short explanation, and I hope that it didn't make it more confusing than it was in the first place, but we will cover that more in the future as well. The abyss is, just about the hardest thing to understand on the tree, but the basic gist of the abyss is that it's our psychic powers, our ability to tune into omens, and our ability to act upon those omens. Those are two parts. One is called psychic receptivity, and one is called psychic heat, and they are symbolized by two snakes. The purple snake is the psychic receptivity, and the red snake is the psychic heat. Okay, so Stage number 95. What causes the omen that triggers psychic receptivity? And so stage number 95 is called ferromagnetism. Stage number 95 is about the perfect alignment of the strongest magnetic atoms. The ferromagnetic charge is so much stronger because its high valence allows an appendage of the atom, the D or F atomic shell, to carry the charge by itself. As such, the charge is distributed over only 2 dimensions rather than 3. So the charge is highly concentrated. The omen is a charged object in 2 dimensions, magnetic, while charges in 1 dimension are emotions, are electric. In a ferromagnet, the magnetic domains are all aligned in the same way, in the same direction. So there's no resistance, as in a superconductor. There are only negative ferromagnetic charges. A charge is a rotational vibration, and a magnetic charge is a 2-dimensional rotational vibration. To visualize a magnetic charge, imagine a washing machine twisting and at the same time flipping itself upside down and back. So at the same time, these 2 motions are going on. One's a flipping motion, a kind of a twisting motion, and one is a flipping motion. So these motions are both occurring at the same time. A washing machine twisting, kind of like the oscillator thing that's in there, and then, but the washing machine itself is jumping upside down and back again. There must be a portion of the atomic structure that can vibrate independently of the main body of the atom to give it orientation. So a ferromagnetic charge requires 8 units of displacement to accommodate for a 2-dimensional rotational vibration, which requires 8 units, 2 to the 3rd power. So the valence of an atom, a ferromagnetic atom, must be greater than 7 for the charge to be distributed over 2 dimensions only. Iron, which is number 26 on the periodic table, is by far the strongest ferromagnet. And you can see that because iron is Fe, which is the same root as ferromagnet. Ferrum is the ancient name for iron. Ferromagnet is named after iron. So iron is by far the strongest with a displacement of 8. That's 8 over, you can think of it as valence, but it's not quite valence. Where iron is number 26, and the noble gas, argon, is number 18. So it's 8 in addition to that. And then, so the excess displacement, more than 8, also dilutes the strength of the charge. So from that first position, iron is the strongest of the ferromagnets, but there are several other ferromagnetic atoms also that fit in that same row and in the next row, or the one after the next row on the periodic table. Ferromagnetism is uncommonly strong magnetism. Much like superconductors with a minimum of resistance. Unlike the universal magnetic properties of paramagnetism and diamagnetism, which both are universal magnetism, but they are both very weak compared to ferromagnetism, in that they are spread over 3 dimensions instead of 2. So they're much more diluted than a ferromagnetic charge, which only requires 2 dimensions. Ferromagnetism is North Pole attracted to South Pole, which, if you use circles, you end up getting a vesica piscis. And which is the opposite of what you call comagnetism or anti-ferromagnetism, which is a north on north and south on south. Ferromagnetism is north on south. This is the conventional kind of magnetism that we're generally used to. The source of the charge alerts us to omens if we activate our psychic receptivity. So the ferromagnetic charge is what is triggering our psychic receptor. It's the omen is our representative, our psychic, our really intellectual or consciousness version of ferromagnetism. So when we see omens, think magnetic charge. That's what they are magnetic charges, and they in the same way that an electric charge is an emotion. Okay, difficult stuff, but we're way up on the abyss here, at the top of the abyss, and that's just how it goes. And another comment on that is that the tree of life is it's like drinking something hard alcohol, like straight up, whereas what I was talking about before, using the tarot deck to embed the tree of life, where the tree of life is embedded in a tarot deck, as the cards are numbered 1 through 10, and then there's 16 face cards and 22 trumps. All of that is kind of just a way to dilute the strength of the tree of life. So even though the tarot is much more popular than the tree of life, and that's because it's kind of like a dumbed down version of the tree of life. It has the elements of the tree of life in it, but they're diluted, mainly in that they're the things that are in the tarot are mostly confined to the very lowest spheres on the tree, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Most of what you find in tarot is 7, 8, 9, and 10, whereas in the real tree of life, most of what you find is above the 7, 8, 9, and 10, is 6 through 1, which makes it much more difficult and inaccessible. So, if you like your tree of life straight up, then you probably want to listen to my version of it. If you like it watered down, then you might want to explore the tarot until you get your feet wet, and then you can probably wade into the deeper waters of the tree of life. Okay, so click the like button if you or share and subscribe if you got this far through the video, and also if you'd like a copy of a list of those 144 fractal faculties annotated, just click the link in the description and I will send you out a free copy of that. Otherwise, stay tuned for future videos on similar and dissimilar topics. One last thing that I would just say is this is not exactly conventional physics and chemistry. We're talking mainly, I follow what's called the reciprocal system of theory that was originated by Dewey B. Larson and then upgraded by Bruce Perret and his team. Now they call it the reciprocal system 2. And this is another topic that I will be covering extensively in these videos. But so we just got like a small taste of it here, and it's very difficult to kind of explain it in, because it fits in with almost every subject, but it's kind of underlying my interpretation of the tree of life at all points. In future videos, we're going to kind of look at the nexus there between tree of life and the reciprocal system. But for now, that's what we're talking about is ferromagnetism. And, the reciprocal system basically has an analog for everything that's in conventional science. And not even just science, but even social sciences and liberal arts. It's a full system of theory and even metaphysics. So, it's all encompassing theory, and so it's complicated in how it branches into all of these different fields. But anyway, so like when conventional science has a term such as ferromagnetism, the reciprocal system has that same term generally, but it has a different interpretation of that term. So this is a different interpretation of ferromagnetism, probably only slightly different. Okay, have a beautiful day, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.